Hello and welcome back to Bricking It. We're continuing this week with another one of our classroom builds. It's one we don't see in the films. This week we're going to be making Muggle Studies. So I've got the base already prepared and tiled off. We're going to start building up the wall. And here in this build is, I think, the single instance of a large brick, because most of this build is going to be made out of plates and the odd tile. Now, there's going to be a lot of shelving in this build, so I was going to have to use plates a lot anyway to incorporate the individual shelf pieces into the build. So I thought I'd use some odd shaped ones here and there, get a bit of greebliness into the walls. Here's our first shelf, and on that we're going to put the Ministry of Magic typewriter. It's exactly as it comes in the Ministry of Magic. It's made out of very simple parts with that sticker from the Ministry sticker sheet. And that's our first item in Muggle Studies. Continue to build up the walls here. Sticking to the usual palette. Going to add another Muggle device on here. So this is going to be an old style rotary desk phone. Not necessarily rotary, it could be digital. As they don't have any printed parts for the dial on the front, we're going to have to just imagine. This is going to be largely obscured and it's just there for a bit of background detail. That's why there's nothing on the front. Though I'm sure there's a good keypad piece I could use to replace that, and if I find one then I certainly will. Yet more plate work, building up our next layer. And I really wanted this to look like a real mishmash, a real Aladdin's cave of bits and bobs, so none of the shelves are at similar heights, they're all over the place. Just going to build up another Muggle device here. We're going to use this rail plate to represent a row of keys. On top of that, a pair of these headlight bricks in black. We're just going to cap that all off with a nice black tile. Then use another printed part that I found in my many journeys around Bricklink to make an old analog reel-to-reel tape recorder. And I'm sure there are people in the audience who have no idea what one of those is. That's fine, it's a little before my time too, really. Going to add another typewriter because I found this printed part and I couldn't let that slip by. I'm not entirely sure what it's from. I'm guessing detective's office or police station. Somebody will correct me if I'm wrong. I'm just going to use one of these panels to represent the page. That can sit on another irregularly spaced shelf. One more for now, and this time we do have a printed phone dial. And as this one's going to be a bit more visible, I did want the printed piece. And yet again, I'm not entirely certain what set this is from. I don't tend to track down these pieces on purpose. Just if I'm looking through a Bricklink catalogue and I'm on the printed parts section, I'll tend to pick up something that looks like it might be useful. And I've finally accumulated enough to now put this build together. I'm going to use some slightly longer plates now just to add a bit of stability. We've got lots and lots of short plates, so we just want to shore up the strength of this wall so that it's not bearing a huge amount of load. We don't want it just collapsing due to poor connections. Found this sticker in a fringe set. Again, I like to trawl through sticker sheets on Bricklink, and I thought a map would be quite a nice muggly type thing. And then of course another sticker from the Ministry of Magic. Here's the plane that's up in Arthur's office. Oh look, a brick! Makes a nice change. And back to some greebly plates all stacked together. Just filling some spaces. This is from a Legoland set. Just thought a nice poster showing what us weird muggles get up to in our spare time would be nice. We're going to put this detail piece on. If you notice, these windows are not regularly spaced and they're off centre in the build. And I just wanted to add to the irregularity and mismatched look of this build. Going on to that snot brick is this piece. This nice light azure, is it? Maybe light blue. And then a bust above it. I wanted this to sort of allude to the kind of blue plaques that you see across Britain where a famous person lived. Might be a note that they might like to give in Muggle Studies. And one of these classic boom boxes up on a higher shelf. So we're really starting to get plenty of interest into this back wall. Another stack of plates. I just wanted to put a little bit of architectural detail on, just so it looks like the room's not completely ignored. Can I add this 8x plate on the side, cap that off with a corresponding little shield design on the other end. I'm going to build that in. And of course this 8x sticking out into the middle of nowhere looks a little ridiculous right here, but don't forget this is going to be up against the side wall of the build. So this is actually going to appear to be a shelf coming out of the side wall. On this shelf we're going to build a few devices that strangely aren't communications media, which is largely what I've focused on in this build so far. And I can't say that I've designed these. In fact, I probably ripped them wholesale from other builds, but I didn't use reference when I built them and just put them together as seemed right. In fact, you know, I'm sure this came with Beast in the latest Marvel CMF. But anyway, there's our little microscope. It's going to go up onto the shelf, and then also on that shelf we're going to have another device very similar in shape actually, using that curved brick as a distinctive part of its design, and this is just going to be a little individual coffee machine that someone from the wizarding world might run into if they ever go around to a Muggle friend's house. I'll have that up on the shelf as well. I do like these two completely different uses but quite similar shapes, and they're only one brick wide, so they sit quite nicely on that shelf. A bit more plate work with my half round tiles on the top, and that will finish off our back wall. There we go. Off centre, irregular and packed full of stuff. But we've still got the floor, so we're going to fill that up with some more bits and bobs. And when I originally designed this, I was thinking parking meter. That's what I thought, you know, something that you might run into in the Muggle world. So I built this up, but it could be any kind of meter really, gas meter, but have in mind parking meter, and it sort of comes through. I'm going to pop another little table in here, give it a bit of a twist, just so it's not completely on grid. I've got this plate with one of these grills on top, and yet another printed part that I found, well, stickered part actually, to make a little one of those indestructible 80s clock radios that just never seem to quit. Another little side table here for some more knickknacks and bits and bobs. I decided to add a compass because we're going to have a map on the wall. We might as well teach them how to read without using point me. And then the most confounding of Muggle artifacts, the rubber ducky. Just add a bit more depth to the look of the room. At the side here under our shelf, going to put one last piece. I'm going to make one of these big, huge 80s home keyboards. A couple of these grills on the sides for speakers. 2 keyboard bricks, and then one of these as our selectors for all the ghastly sounds and tones that you could get out of one of these things. Never actually sounded like what they were supposed to be. Not going all out on the legs, just a couple of cylinders. And I can just pop in here on these 2 jumpers I've prepared underneath our shelf. So that's most of our gubbins. Looks quite nice and packed and eclectic. Plenty to draw the eye, lots of different colours, which makes a nice change from our usual interiors. Charity Burbage, of course, demonstrating some Muggle money. Just pop her in here, if I can ever find a stud. There we go. And then just a couple of students learning all about the Muggle world. One last student to add. Having a look at the camera. Obviously there's going to be a project about Muggle photographs and seeing how they don't move. Weird. There we go, that's our Muggle Studies. Quite quite like it. It's got enough in it to keep you interested, and it's not a module I'm going to have on display in the castle all that much. Right, I'm going to take it over to the castle and install it now in the same sort of place as our Care of Magical Creatures class. Here we go then. Going to pop it in here. Now you may notice that on the right hand side as you look at it, there's a big gaping hole, and that chap appears to be photographing Ravenclaw because I forgot to put the sidewall in. Anyway, thank you very much for watching. If you've enjoyed this video, please do leave us a like, and for more Hogwarts MOC builds, please subscribe to Bricking It. Bye bye.